Good evening. We'd like to welcome everyone this evening to the Richmond Planning and Zoning meeting. The clerk, you call to order, please.
Commissioner DeGrant.
Here.
Commissioner Francis.
Here.
Commissioner Short. Here. Commissioner Miller. Here. Commissioner Perkins. Here. Commissioner Miles. Commissioner Estelle.
Here. If ever had time to look over the minutes from September the 17th, 2025, I'd like to get a motion on that, please.
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes for September 17th, 2025.
Second.
Commissioner DeGrant.
Yes.
Commissioner Francis.
Yes.
Commissioner Short.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins. Commissioner Miles.
Yes.
Commissioner Estelle.
Yes. Next on the agenda is the zone map amendments for properties on Baker Court, existing zone R2, proposed zone R1.
What you'll have in front of you is a map Tyler created for us. We got one blue lot that has no significance. That's just the first lot picked. But everything in yellow and blue will be a representation of all of the applications you have in front of you along Baker Court. So with that, we have applications, we have consent. All of those applications are in your packet. This is a freewheel zone change from an R2 to an R1. And basically, that sort of simple. So it'd be, I think if council would agree, we could entertain a motion for all on Baker Court, or do we need to do those individual?
As long as we have the reading as far as each property that has requested that, then I do think we could vote in total with that. So it would just be a question of getting on the record the properties that have specifically requested that before the vote. And I think we'd be fine to do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would just be clarifying the question.
Okay.
To vote on.
Just so that it's clear, it's 504, 506, 507, 508, 510, 513, 516, 517, 518, 519, 521, 522, and 524 Baker Court.
Those are the ones that have not.
Those are the ones that you would be voting yes or no to.
Okay.
How many total? 12?
13.
13. You have any questions from the?
No.
Okay, can we entertain
Public comment first, if there is any.
do what?
If there's any public comment.
But,
first.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Very fine.
Is there any public comments? There is none. So we get a motion on that, please.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the zone map amendment for the properties on Baker Court as listed, and it's from the existing zone of R2 to a proposed zone R1.
And I'll chime in with the amendment that we approve the findings of fact.
We get a
Okay.
second.
Say that again.
Was that a second, Dr. Miller?
I'll second it.
He second,
Okay.
okay.
Commissioner DeGrant,
Yes.
Commissioner Francis,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins, Commissioner Miles,
Yes.
Commissioner Estelle.
Yes. Next on the agenda is a zone map amendment for property at 614 Oldham Avenue, existing zone R3, proposed zone R1.
This is a somewhat of a late arrival, still yet within the time frame to submit. We had a late request, and it was granted. So we went forth with 614 Oldham Avenue. It's a single lot. Tyler has that highlighted up here for you if you need to put your eye on exactly where that is. But this one would be going from an R3 to an R1, so they're seeking that single-family zone as well. Very similar, just a single instance on a different street.
I guess I need to say is that I don't see any findings of fact.
It was, Chris can absolutely correct me if I'm wrong, but the attorney, when they bring it to you, provide it. Since you guys are doing this, you have to provide your reasoning, which is the finding of fact.
Yes,
Am
I
I
mean,
correct?
obviously, the application process, you would hope that the property owner requesting it provides information. But the ultimate findings of fact would be made by the body, and
Yeah.
if the body determines they don't have enough facts in front of them to make that determination, then the body has the ability to make that finding as well, that there's not
Okay.
enough.
But so their reasoning being, so their findings of fact as in the reasoning would be from why they're saying yes or no.
Yes, absolutely.
Excuse me, why don't we have findings of fact?
Well, no, I'm saying that the finding of facts generally are made by the body as part of that, but again, looking for at the application itself, you're absolutely right, Doctor, that there's not a lot of reasoning given for that, which you all can absolutely base your determination here on as part of your findings, which would be the finding of facts you all conclude is that the application didn't suffice for you all to make a determination to support it.
Okay, and that would be my mistake, because previously how the former city attorney did it is your reasoning, yes or no tonight, is how he formed them for the city commission. Whether that was right or wrong.
No, I think it's fine. I mean, it's
Okay.
two different ways of doing it, so you know.
Is,
You know, we might want to say to some people that are new on the committee that the findings of fact is really important. That they really allow us to make a decision. Now, I understand this is kind of by the individual, so it's not a big a deal. But if you don't have that, in fact, there was one case here that they didn't have it, was a problem. So always look at the finding of fact, 'cause it really is important.
do we have any public comments on this? There is not any. I'll get a motion on this.
Here we
Uh,
go.
And I'm exhausted. Go ahead, Dr. Miller.
I make a motion to approve the zone map amendment for property 614 Oldham Avenue, existing zone R3 to proposed zone R1.
You get a second?
Okay. Commissioner DeGrant?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Francis?
Yes.
Commissioner Short?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Miles?
Yeah.
Commissioner Estelle?
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
You just say something.
Mhm. Yeah. This next one is for the zone determination for overnight shelter. We tabled this the last time, so we need a motion to make a motion to put it back on the table.
I make a motion, we lay it back on the table.
Okay.
And that has to be voted on, I guess.
Yeah,
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner DeGrant?
Yeah.
Commissioner Francis?
Yes.
Commissioner Short?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins? Commissioner Miles?
Yes.
Commissioner Estelle?
yes. Okay, so this next one is a zone determination for the overnight shelter. Director, you have anything?
I think we might have some additional speakers tonight, but I would make one note on the general recommendations as far as regulations for these, if it goes forward, is that when I created that, you'll notice that at the title of that, it says shelter for the homeless. That was somewhat just what I put on there in its infancy as I did some research. So I would like to make a note for the record that that should state overnight shelter, because if they don't, it could cause a differentiation of what an overnight shelter is and just a homeless shelter, which could be in daytime. These, what we're talking about tonight is for overnight shelters. So very different determination of the facility.
Well, I think we've got two things. We've got the ordinance that you wrote up, which is good. And the problem with, well, it's not a problem, down on the homeless shelter out in Virginia, down across from the library. There's two different things. The one that we were going to do was we were going to get information from the state to find out what their regulations were. That's why we tabled it.
Yes. And in looking into that additionally, really, there's not a whole lot from the state that they require. Yeah, that is, as long as they, I'm sorry, you disagree with that? Or-
No, I was saying, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's as long as, from the information I got from reaching out to some other shelters around the state, and I even reached out to Hope Center in Lexington, spoke to their executive director, because I figured that's going straight to the horse's mouth. Hope Center would have it locked down. And the response I got in speaking to the executive director is that as long as, you know, they're up to building code, and as far as they're meeting the standards for the health department, as far as, you know, the kitchen and serving people and meeting those benchmarks, there's really nothing specific that is under a rubric for homeless shelters. It's, you know, that you look at what's going on at what the shelter is, as far as, you know, like I said, the health department, things like that. But there's really not a whole lot of regulation at the state level that is specific for homeless shelter.
So to make everybody clear, is that they would be inspected for health purposes,
Yes, if they're operating a kitchen.
meals and other things like that.
Yes,
Because we don't want that not done. Fire,
yes,
all that kind of, the standard things.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. There would be no additional inspection or paperwork that they would file just by the nature of them operating a shelter.
So all that would come through the city, right?
Yes, mostly, yes, sir.
So with our zoning classifications, are we differentiating between a homeless shelter and an overnight shelter? As far as our classifications go?
What we're here tonight for is addressing overnight shelters.
Just overnight is what we're doing.
I think we need to possibly change that and maybe make it apply to all shelters, or let me rephrase and not use the word shelter, but a business that would practice in inviting homeless. I think it should be that way. Because that would apply to every day, your daytime people, that would also apply to your nighttime as well. And if we have them all standardized in one way, I think it's smarter for us proceeding forward.
And that certainly makes it much easier for us, instead of starting to classify the different types. We're certainly not experts in the type of business that would be in, other than, you know, its location, which is all we're after as far as zoning. So I'd be very happy to entertain that, and if we can include that on any motion we make tonight, if we get there, to have that clarification, and then I will adjust and move forward.
Now, the facility they're recommending, that's just an overnight, right? I don't think it was. I think sometimes they're going to stay for a while, right?
Well, that's what kicked it off, was the overnight shelter. So if we want to broaden our horizons and do that, absolutely.
Well, I think it was mentioned, though, that, excuse me, that they were there just for overnight, and then they had to get out, had to be out during the daytime, then they could come back at night. It wasn't like that they were going to stay there from all night and then there all day long. They was only going to stay there for the night, and then they would be out, because I think it was mentioned that they would be out looking for jobs or doing whatever, so it's just not like they were going to be there, you know, just stay there 24 hours.
And Mr. Chairman, some of the conversations that we've had from the community that's reached out to that reflects that, is that, you know, this is just for the overnight shelters, but during the day, they've got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and there are shelters and other types of nonprofits that do cater to, work readiness, or, therapy, things such as that, to where, that it's kind of pointing out, I think what we're landing on here is that, we're looking, this is just tailored to overnight, but there's a broader spectrum we may need to look at, and I don't disagree that, having the zoning for all of these types of services locked down to where you're not having to, go cross town, things like that, is something absolutely we could look at as well.
I'm going to ask a question about that. Now, when they leave in the mornings, I know you've got some churches and different things that they go to feed. Does that play an effect on this? I mean, like we got some churches here, you know, they can go, and I think it used to be they could go and they could take showers and do things like that. Would that play into effect in the zoning?
I would recommend that it does not. The church is its own entity, and if they decide to graciously take in someone and provide that for them, it would not play a part
Yeah.
in this particular zoning for a facility designed
Yeah.
for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to stick
It's-
to religion to get.
Yeah, I mean, I was just asking a question because we talking about zone, I didn't know exactly, you know, where we step
No,
over.
I mean, if it's a physical church itself, but
Yeah.
for instance, if it is a charity affiliated with a church or something, then, and they're setting up outside of that, then, you know, yeah, I think the zoning could come into play with that. So
And
you'd
that-
have to look at the nature of the organization
Yeah.
that is sponsoring it.
That's also why I think it should be broadened out to business orientation versus a designated homeless shelter or a shelter. It should be designated to as a whole, I think. That would be a better way of blanketing, because if a charity wants to set up a shelter, they can. But I think having it as a business so you have an individual that wants to do it, then also they have the right, but it's a business oriented in sheltering everybody. I think that's what it needs to be versus just designated as shelter this or shelter this.
And Commissioner, when you're using the term business, is that a differentiation between a nonprofit versus for-profit?
Either or,
Okay,
either or.
so business would cover nonprofit,
Yeah.
charitable, 501c3.
That's what I'm thinking, because then
Okay.
we kind of apply those rules also blanketing churches at the same time.
Yeah, sorry, the lawyer is looking at the definition and how we were gonna, define that.
Well, that would be my thought
Yeah,
process. you know.
absolutely. No, that makes sense.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment? Yes, come up and your name, please. State your name.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Seitz. I'm a new board member at Madison Home. I'm late to this party. I know very little about zoning or being on a nonprofit board. And I've missed the last couple meetings about this. I understand that y'all have already heard it a couple times. We sent some emails. My colleague, Mr. Michael Frazier, sent an email earlier, and I sent an email as well, asking that this be tabled again. I know that that is going to be a hardship for y'all to have to hear it a fourth time. But Madison Home is one of the only overnight shelters in Richmond, and we just haven't had an opportunity to look at the regulations and see if this would affect us yet. We'd like to be able to look at those and submit comments to you about just make sure that this isn't going to interfere with the ability of that operation to stay open.
If I could chime in there just a moment, if there is a succession of a new ordinance here, it would not pertain to anything pre-existing. So any existing shelters or services or business or whatever you have that is in that category would not be affected by this particular ordinance. It would only be things that come into play after its adoption. We have regulations that will state if a business goes out or service, so let's use you for an example. If you happen to go out of business and another entity does not come in and do the exact same thing within that structure for a period of 1 year, it will revert back to any ordinance of the book at that time. So that would be the only case that could happen. So if you're existing, you're fully in operation, any ordinance passed tonight would not pertain to you as far as a zone that says you're not in conformance. You would be honestly existing non-conforming. But you predate the ordinance.
That's very helpful. Thank you all. Yeah.
What do you all do? What services?
Currently, Madison Home is giving non-overnight shelter services, meals, breakfast and lunch every day, showers, laundry, clothing closet, and connection with case management. And then we do intend to open as an overnight shelter again for the winter, so that will be December through March.
Oh, so it's just, just in the, I'm sorry. I'm sure it's very important. I'm sure it's spam. Okay. Okay. So y'all don't keep people long, it's just a.
No, it's, and I don't know exactly what all the rules are or will be, but it's emergency shelter, so it's not long-term living. Yeah.
The only thing that would apply to you would be that fire inspection, health inspection, that kind of thing would still be, even if your grandfathered in, would still apply, correct?
Not under an original certificate of occupancy. Now, if
But they have to deal with that anyway,
I-
correct?
If there are standards set by the state, and therefore they have to have a fire inspection every 6 months, every 1 year, I'm totally making that up, then they would have to do that. Only at the point of a new occupancy would you get this applied, this listing of things for a new business. That way we can make sure, like Chris is saying, we get fire extinguishers, health department, building inspection, we get the whole CO business of a new business, service, whatever, for that structure. So they would go through that at that point in time. Anything existing would only have to follow any current regulations that would be applied. That's right. So,
You still would want a facility to be safe, so you wouldn't have fire inspection or anything on it?
well, I'm sure.
Talk to Dr. Jadune about that, if they ask.
I'm sure you might be able to enlighten us on what type of inspections or that you may have to go through, if you know those.
I am sorry, I'm too new to answer that question.
Okay.
Dr. Assad can speak to that.
Yeah, just state your name, please.
I'm going to trade out. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I appreciate. My name is Asad Jadune, and I'm founder of Medicine Home. And so, what is the exact question, Dr. Mehta? I'm sorry, I didn't hear too well.
What?
What is the question?
What's the
What
question?
was the question? Is that I think you have had people come down there and inspect you for fire and other things
Yeah, what
like
we
it, because I think you mentioned smoke alarms and things like that you do, correct?
So what we do is every year we request the city fire department, they come and inspect our facility. They go on all the floor, they look at the fire suppression, on the extinguisher, on the alarms, the batteries. And of course, they look at the doors, if they're door compliant, if egress is safe, is our fire escape is working. So we get inspection and we always have been approved. We never ever, for the last several years that we've been operating, we have had any infringement, we never had any complaints. And the city fire department has been extremely happy with us. We never had any issues. I want to bring just one little thing while we are trying to think about future entities and current. So the way the Medicine Home is set up, it's actually a daughter organization of a bigger organization that is called the Medicine Home Mission. And what the mission is, it is actually a non-denominational church. So one of the questions was raised that what rules and regulation apply to the churches. So I just want to emphasize that the Medicine Home and its parent organization, they are incorporated as church. They're approved by IRS as a denominational. So we believe that we get the same protection that any other church would have. So as far as all the inspection, we do it, but I think like in a church, for example, that you have overnight retreat. So the rule that applied to the church would apply to us as well. And also in the case with the summer break, they're staying at night and they have summer camps. So the request that we have is that the rules that apply to those churches should also apply to the Medicine Home because it is a mission. It is actually official, a church. It's non-denominational church. So this is what we need to understand. We all know that 38 churches are sponsoring and supporting this thing. I'm not individual, we are not the two people, it's the whole community. And if I may be wrong to say, I may not be wrong to say that through all of your churches, I'm representing all of you because practically every single church, any major church, it is one of the collaborative church with us. So we are not an isolated entity. We represent all the churches, and that's what we are.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Interesting.
Kevin, I got a question for you.
Sure.
If they were to expand, would it affect them, this ordinance? Because you did kind of say that.
I don't feel that it would. The only thing that would apply would probably be some type of development plan that would kick in just development regulations, parking, ADA compliance, things of that nature. You're still continuing the exact same use. So I don't feel that an ordinance of this stature would affect it as long as it is that same continuing use. And again, this ordinance wouldn't affect Madison Home as long as it is in operation.
See, it wouldn't affect it.
If they expanded to like the next, there's a couple of buildings down the street from them, would they be able to expand into those areas?
If it's a building down the street, I'm going to assume that structure is on a separate piece of property. Yes, it would apply.
Be able to? Oh, okay, well, that's good.
So what we looking at here, we talking about two different things, right?
Well, I'm hearing a service. I won't get into a business with all of Chris's big words, but if we are providing a service and it happens to be this type of service, then I'm hearing it applies to all, any of it, whether it's overnight, throughout the day, overnight through the couple days of the week, whatever, it would apply to all of those situations at that point. If you choose, this body chooses to encompass the idea.
Because he's grandfathered in, this ordinance says Tammany's thing, so what we're really
It-
voting on is new facilities.
Yeah,
That is correct.
That's what you-
And,
yeah.
and just a quick statement, if this moves forward, I would want to reach out to the community, maybe the help of Saad and some others here tonight. It would be to locate and identify all existing ones so that I can have a little list here that doesn't get picked on, being facetious here, that is exempt. That way we have a record of that as we move forward. And I think that would be a good idea. And anytime we do that, I'm incorporating our GIS now to actually map those areas. So it's a map that nobody sees but us, but it's a tracking effort for us to know right where these would lie, like I'm sort of doing that now with short-term rentals, but it would be the same process. And then they would be identified as a color code that they are pre-existing.
Exactly.
What would apply to the existing ones would be any new ones within proximity of existing ones, if this moves forward.
Any more questions?
Any more comments?
Y'all got any?
We usually do.
Now, she mentioned something about tabling this.
I think it would be wise to table one more time before we take a vote, I think. Only because we have a couple changes that Chris is going to have to look into,
Verbiage.
the verbiage.
That and, I mean, with the overnight shelter and the discussion as far as the other services that go along with that, I do think there needs to be some clarity as far as defining what a homeless shelter encompasses as part of that, as the types of services we're wanting to cover with this, if it's, because even the overnight shelter, overnight isn't mentioned in this. So I do think having a definition section that kind of sets forth what we're hoping to cover on that, which some of the feedback from the community is that this is a broad spectrum issue we're having to look at. So I think clarity would be needed, and I'm happy to make those changes and work with Kevin on that before the next meeting.
I motion the table.
I'll second.
Commissioner DeGrant,
Yes.
Commissioner Francis,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miles,
Yes.
Commissioner Estelle.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Director's Report.
The agenda should also say other business. That's, I don't know why, but it's left off by me, so.
Well, we'll make a quick report. I have updated with the help of Chris. We dug into our freeboard requirements, and those of you that don't know what freeboard is, it is, has to do with the NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program, about how high your structure must be above a floodplain. So currently, we had some discrepancies, we'll say. We have a storm manual, and it lists 6 inches in there. And then we, through the help of council here, we've located, I believe in 2017, some language of an ordinance that was passed, and it greatly increased that, and we're incorporating that into our storm manual now. I have notified the NFIP and gave them that information. They are absolutely astounded by that. And what that does is it lowers the insurance rates. There's a community rating system. And with that, we can help lead the charge. We're one of the better ones. So this is an improvement to that. So that helps the community as a whole to lower that insurance. I did receive Phase 3 of the Carriage Place development out on 25. When I say that, that is the actual construction drawings. They arrived this morning, about 50 pages of a bunch of lines, but I will be reviewing that this week. Also, simultaneously, received Phase 8 of Magnolia Point, which interests a lot of folks because this is the phase that will run us over to Union City Road. Everything on that sheet has a construction design that does take you all the way there. So I'll be reviewing that as well, and it's another 50-some pages of a bunch of squiggly lines. So with that, I thought you might be interested that we are getting there for Magnolia to get that second entrance out. And quick report on some letter of credits. I don't want to give names yet because they haven't submitted for the next meeting yet, but in talks with my field inspector, David, which has been doing a great job handling those, we should have multiple letter of credit releases and some of those starting to get cleaned up. I don't want to give names just yet because they haven't submitted. Until they do so, we should have a good list for you to take off the list.
Are we getting close to completing it now?
Yes, if they're asking for reduction or a release of letter of credit, that means they are done. We've tracked them, we've hounded them, we've asked politely,
mean, there was whole-
we've sent some letters, but no, this will be a significant chunk.
All right.
And it's happening simultaneously, so they're trying to make a push before, of course, blacktop plants are closing. So as long as everything stays on track, as we have communicated with them, we're looking pretty good to having a list for next meeting.
Get back to Magnolia Point. Where are they at on the bridge part?
The bridge, I believe, it has been approved, and the bridge is shown on the plans. So it was not incorporated into the set that's sent to me, but I will recommend that it has to be part of that plan so I can see all of that, those bells and whistles as well. And I'm sure the engineer has all that. Like I say, it was just submitted this morning. I've started my grocery list, as I call it, and that'll be one thing that I asked for that But if they're moving that way, I'm told that most likely they are intending to start on that end. So the bridge and that entrance probably will be the first thing you see as far as construction when they get started.
They're right there at it, right now.
Yep.
We're gonna have to put a light there on Union, Red House Road.
And again, we'll be challenged, state road, so our hands are tied there. And unfortunately, the state doesn't react until there's a problem. That's usually just the way it works. Kind of like you have to be missing for 48 hours before they send somebody looking for you, but we have to have an issue or a problem before the state takes a look at things like that.
We've had a tendency, since I've been on this board, to, when we limit the amount of building, then we say, okay, you gotta build a bridge, and then they start building again. Oh, we haven't built the bridge yet. And I don't want them to come back and say that, because my first comment is tear the houses down.
Well, what we've
I would
got,
think that they need to make sure to start that bridge, and, that has to be part of the deal now, because there's only one exit to that whole subdivision.
and in the prior motion with this board, they have to build their way out. And they have to make a connection to Union City. Now, in Phase 8, and this is not what they're planning, again, they've just submitted, but it's quite a large section, but it is a straight shot. It's got some roads attached to it, but it is a straight shot to Union City. And, they may break that into phases. They did Phase 7 in 2 phases, 7A and 7B, but they're still carrying out their agreement to keep pushing forward. So with that, I'm not allowing any branching, much like the farms at Barnes Mill. That agreement was they must make it to Barnes Mill Road. So I'm watching all that, but I'm not allowing any branching away from that straight shot. Now, they can put houses and little bump out cul-de-sacs, but you must be continuing toward Union City Road, and that's what they're doing.
Great. Okay.
Back to the homeless. Michael Frazier, is it Mike Frazier that did this, sent us the letter? I have a lot of questions and I don't understand. It sounds like, so he wants a 4-month time to kind of formulate with you all, I take it? Or with Gracie and?
I had a brief interaction with him earlier today that, we're willing to take it under advisement. Richmond is in the same position as any other city in the U.S., unfortunately. I mean, homelessness is something every city's having to deal with. And if there was a one-shot simple solution, we'd all be billionaires because we'd be selling it to every other city. So, it is an absolutely broad spectrum approach that would warrant some discussion. Now, that's not to say we can't address things piecemeal, such as through the shelter language or anything like that, but I think the impression I got, and I'm not intending to speak for him by any stretch of the imagination, was that he is wanting essentially all hands on deck as far as Richmond and stakeholders and nonprofits as far as a community-wide approach to this, which candidly, I'm not sure that is the role for planning and zoning to be running point on that. That's a conversation probably held at the Board of Commissioners level and with the mayor, but I'll reiterate it with them as well. I've got, had 12 years of experience with Kentucky League of Cities. I know anecdotally how other cities have looked at this. Candidly, no city really has a great solution, but I know approaches other cities have taken. So if there is a need for an ongoing conversation, I think that's something we absolutely can do as a city. But I'm not certain that the planning and zoning is the point person for that is not the impression I got is what they were asking for.
It just makes it sound like if we zone certain parcels, then that's creating a monopoly for someone else, and that's what I was concerned with. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
and I read it as well, and that's why I think additional conversation would be needed. And
I didn't know if he needed to come to.
He can, I mean, I'm happy to, I'm at City Hall every day. I'm happy to speak to anybody at any time that they have any concerns with this, but, I
don't want to zone it.
Oh, no, absolutely, and I understand the concerns, but I think there may be some, I hesitate to say talking past each other at this point, but I do think that the goals and aims that this initially started with, and Kevin and Tyler can correct me if I'm wrong on this, it's not mission creep, but anytime you're dealing with homelessness, there are a lot of factors that become involved with that pretty quickly. Because it's not just overnight, as we've said, you've got the day-to-day, and they go someplace during the day, and are they getting counseling during the day? Are they getting, job placement during the day? And, if we are allowing something on one side of town, but we're only allowing something on the other side of town, how are they gonna get from point A to point B? So it's an exceedingly broad spectrum approach that's needed, but a lot of that is land use, and that is gonna require planning and zoning, which is, sort of the initial step here. I just don't think, unfortunately, you all were kind of the tip of the spear. And now that, people are pointing out all the things that go along with this, it's gonna require some thought and some action, not just from you all, but from the city as a whole.
I remember when the mayor first took over, it was one of the meetings, and some of y'all might remember it, that they had up here was on the homeless. It was good attendance. And I'll be willing to bet that there were 10 different organizations. This hand didn't know what this hand was doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff was simple. I mean, it was, this hand didn't know what this one was doing. And it seemed like that to help out the whole thing around, that they need to come together.
Yeah.
Really. And I think that would help a whole lot, but the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. We've been doing this for X amount of months or years or something. We didn't know you was doing that.
Yeah.
But they was all doing the same thing, but nobody knew what the other was even doing.
No, and that, that is somewhat endemic to, situations like that.
That would help the city a whole lot if they
Yes.
did come together,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He had suggested a task force.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever, it might take, but I mean,
That, yeah,
it's not
task
the
force
city
study
to
group,
make up the
whatever.
decision,
Yeah. No,
help them all we can, but,
Yeah.
if the other one knows what the other one's doing, and then come together on.
Yeah,
on this.
and that, I think, I'm happy to speak to him about that, and, involve the city manager and the mayor and the commissioners as far as, what sort of, not coordination, but facilitation.
Yeah.
I think the city has a role in, but, I think that answers are gonna have to percolate up from the community. I don't think that, I would love to say we're like Moses on the Mount, to where we come down with all the answers. We're not in that position. There are people that know far more about this and have different, the right hand and the left hand may know what they're doing individually, but, bringing those together, Chairman, I think would be a benefit as well.
Did you ever think about having a committee where the city was involved in it, the manager and everybody else involved in it, and they basically bring all these people together, once every 2 months or 3 months, and they see what everybody's doing, so that this right hand does know what the
Yes.
left hand's doing, and the city can help coordinate some things.
I think, Dr. Miller, that is becoming readily apparent, that may be a next step.
I don't think a task force, I think a regular committee that
Yeah,
meets
I mean,
routinely.
call it whatever you want. But I think the intention of getting people together to discuss this is warranted, and I have a feeling that the decision makers of the city are gonna be looking at that sooner rather than later with what has transpired.
And when I say committee too, I think you ought to be on that, and I think there ought to be people that are in real estate in it. I think people want to be in building, I think professional people, I think people that deal with the homeless, so security officers, a lot of people should be involved, just ordinary citizens that are there to actually have the expertise in certain areas. I think it would really help. That's my
I don't
suggestion.
disagree. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be speaking with the city manager about that tomorrow.
Give the director's report,
That's all.
so,
Wrap it all together.
as for adjournment,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn for the
I
night.
thought you were exhausted.
I'm gonna drink water.
I second.
He perked up.
I did.
Okay. Commissioner DeGrant,
Yes.
Commissioner Francis,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins, Commissioner Miles, Commissioner Estelle.
Yes,
Thanks so much.
I was worried about you. I'm glad you got back to your status.
thank you all.